Hello, everyone. We want to start on time, so I'm going to kick off with the session. I can see that a few people are joining, so I'll just bring them in, but I'd like to kick it off. So today's afternoon is quite a special one because this session has been planned since a few months now, and we've been able to gather momentum through the months, and there was travels and things like that that happened before for Namita as well as myself, but we didn't give up on this topic, and we wanted to do this. So this is one of the topics that we've been talking about quite a bit internally, and we feel that it's going to impact a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of individuals, and just people on the whole, because managing your own expectations and managing everybody else's expectations is not only something we need to learn to navigate better, but also internalize in a proper way. But I'll leave that to Namita to talk more about. I'd just like to introduce her briefly. Namita Malhotra is a member of It's Her Way, proud member of It's Her Way, I assume. And she is a life agility coach, and she's just fabulous at what she does. She's super passionate. I have interacted with her professionally as well as personally in her coaching capacity, and I can't recommend her enough. So over to you, Namita.
Thank you, Armin. Thank you so much. And you rightly said this topic has been very close to our hearts. Both of us have been talking about it, sharing our perspectives over it. And we have been, somehow, for some reason or the other, it's taken us months to get here and share with others because of several reasons. And like you mentioned, travel was, of course, one of them. I will take a moment to welcome Zainab, Aradhana, who are here with us. And as more members join in, we'll talk and what a topic it is, right? As human beings, it comes so naturally to us. Expectation is something we just pop and we do it, both with ourselves and with those around us. Uh, if I may, I'd like to share my screen, Armin, and I'm just hoping I'll be able to do that. So just give me a moment. I'm not, yeah. Yes. I hope everybody is able to see my screen. I'm so sorry. Uh, can you see my screen? A little just thumbs up, something to
Yes,
indicate.
okay. We can.
Thank you.
If you can just blow it up a little bit, meaning put it on full
Uh,
screen.
it
Yeah.
is on full
Yeah, now
screen.
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, okay, great. So managing expectations, right? That's our topic for today, the key to managing expectations. Armin has already shared my name, and both Armin and I are very, very mindful about time. And that is what, one of the expectations we have from ourselves and from others as well. And with that, I would like to ask all those who are here, just take a moment and share. You can unmute yourself or you can share in chat. What are your expectations from this workshop? Anybody wanting to answer can either raise their hand or just unmute yourself. I have no way of knowing because I don't see any faces. Just imagine yourself in a room where there are just walls around you and you don't see anybody. How do you feel? And that's exactly how I feel right now. Not knowing, not seeing any faces. I'd be happy if some of you could, because it just then makes it more interactive and personal. And my personal experience says that as an attendee also, when you put your camera on, if you're comfortable, that's your call. you just gain more because that energy interaction is more. The speaker can see you, probably gather a sense of what's going on in your head and help you in some way.
I think Aradhana has raised her hand. Feel free to unmute
Sorry,
yourself.
I can't see. So, I mean, you'll have to help me with this. I'm somehow not able to see her hand here. Aradhana, please go
Yeah.
ahead and share.
Hi, Namita. Hi, Armin. First of all, I'm unable to switch my video on or the camera on because it says the host has disabled it.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
other than the screen that you are speaking on, is there any other screen open?
No, not from my end.
Yeah, now I see that screen. What are your expectations? Because I couldn't see this either.
Okay. I don't
Uh,
know, maybe some
I
setting.
can now I've been able to switch my video on.
Lovely to see you, Aradhana.
Hi. Yeah. And so you asked, what are your expectations from the workshop? Um, Honestly speaking, when I come for something like this, I don't come with any uh, what shall I say, on, pre-decided thing. I mean, I'm open to what's coming, and I hope that, or the reason I come is that with the idea that probably I will learn something new, something that I'm not already aware of.
And subtly, that's also an expectation that,
Okay.
oh, I'm going to learn something new, right? That's an
Yeah,
expectation. And
right.
that's a fair expectation because you're investing your time and, taking out time from a busy schedule, making time for it. And obviously, you have this fair expectation of, okay, maybe I'll learn something new today. Great.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
wonderful start. Anybody else? We can still spend another minute on this. So if there's anyone who wants to share, Zainab, Amanda, anything from your end? Okay, if not, we'll just move forward. And I mean, before I move forward, I'll take up from where Aradhana just left. And she said that, coming with a fresh, just expectation or, without any preconceived notion to what am I going to learn, and just coming with the expectation of, okay, maybe I'll learn something new. And that is really, really a beautiful way to approach life and say, okay, maybe I don't know. So if we begin our day by that, on that note, it's a beautiful way to begin the day and open yourself to more possibilities. And if I were to share what are we going to learn today in this workshop is, so what really is expectation? And how does it influence our behavior, the importance of managing expectation, and common challenges that we all face in managing expectations, and some very, very simple strategies to overcome disappointment from unmet expectation. And I am 100% sure, that you will, and that's an expectation again. Yet I'm sure that you will take back something with you, which is going to make life a little simpler, easier, more manageable, more creating more ease and flow with what you're going to learn today. And that brings me, okay, with a question that if I have your permission on that note, before we go forward, is it okay with everybody if I just share very briefly about myself and the work that I do? Aradhana, since I can only see you, if you give me a little thumbs up or something, is it okay if I just take a minute?
Yeah.
I won't take that.
Namita, there's also Amanda who shared. She's mentioned it on the chats, and she's mentioning that I'm unfortunately not able to put on the camera, and I'm very happy to join today. Looking forward to boosted education and learning new things. So that's
Wow. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for sharing that. Unfortunately, I don't know, for some reason today I'm not getting any notifications of chat on my screen or raised hand. So, Armin, please help me with that.
yes.
Maybe in some time, if I do get it, I'll take care of that. And Amanda, that's okay. I do understand sometimes we are not in a position to, put our camera on, and that's okay. Thank you that you're looking forward to, boosting your own learning. Great, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Can I just request, maybe we just repeat the question because a few more have joined and they can put it in the chat and we move forward as well. Yeah.
Okay, so the question was, I can put it up in the chat here. What is your expectation from today's workshop? So feel free to either unmute yourself and answer or put your answers in the chat. And while you're thinking about it or taking time, I had also shared what we're going to do today. So what we're going to be doing in the workshop, what I'll be covering is what in essence is expectation, how it influences our behavior, the importance of managing expectations, common challenges in managing expectations, and simple strategies to overcome the disappointment from unmet expectations. And the more interactive it is, the more you share, the more ideas will flow, because then there's a lot of energy exchange.
Yeah.
And otherwise, it's okay. All is good. We are here to accept
There's,
whatever the universe provides us today.
Namita, there's one more.
One more chat I see now. Yes. Zainab says, I'm also unable to switch on my camera. I'm surrounded by a few people. And from this session, I want to learn how to stop expectation from others. Great. Okay, Zainab, we're surely going to tackle that. Okay, so I'll just take the liberty and seeking your permission to share very briefly about myself and my work before we dive deep into the topic of today. And this is who I am. I am just like most of you here, a mother, a daughter, a wife, an entrepreneur, a woman playing many multiple roles, and yet I'm so much more. And along my journey of coaching, I have learned that my biggest assets are my physical and mental well-being, because my body is a vehicle for me to use on this human journey. And stress and anxiety, I have come to learn, make my body weak and cause this vehicle to break down. And, just as you all, those of you who drive, the importance of maintaining your vehicles to have a smooth journey, have a smooth ride from point A to point B. Our body is our vehicle to interact with the 3D world, to live this life. And it's really important for us to take care, because I was sharing with some, most of my clients, I just tell them, okay, so you do know, and this is something all of you know, and you will agree that when we think happy thoughts, when we are happy, when we are excited, endorphins and similar chemicals are released in our body. And when we are in a state of stress, anxiety, fear, chemicals like cortisol are released in the body. So technically, what we can say is thoughts are just chemicals, right? Because every thought that you're thinking, it's inducing a kind of chemical. And what the purpose of it is to allow you to get a feedback. It's a feedback mechanism. So if you do not like how you're feeling, it's because it's giving you an indication of the quality of your thinking. And stress is actually how we take it, is that it is something that is caused by our environment or a state, and that's a general perception that people have begun to have about stress. I'm in a stressful environment, or my work is causing me stress, while the fact is that it's not the environment, it's not the work, it is our thinking of how we perceive it that causes stress. And which brought me to a realization how precious life is. And now I take 100% responsibility of my thoughts, emotions, feelings, and love to help others like me do the same to create more ease, joy, and glory in our lives. And with that, let's dive deep straight away into what is expectation. You know, just from the moment we create a thought, an expectation just very subtly arises in the mind itself, right? We have expectations from ourselves, from those around us as well. And if we were to define expectation, it's a belief or an anticipation about what will happen in the future or what an outcome of something might be. And it's mostly based on our past experience, assumptions, and beliefs, conditioning, whatever we've learned, whatever we've thought. So we've been, we've seen, heard, or read about certain things through our senses. We've gathered some information about how things should be, how as an employee I'm supposed to behave, or how as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a wife, what am I expected to do, and what can I expect from others, right? And those are all just assumptions. Expectations can be specific predictions about outcomes. When I'm about to, as an entrepreneur, hire somebody, right? Naturally, I just assume I'm hiring a person, and this is the role that I want them to play. This is the salary I'm giving. So I want the worth and the value of what I'm paying this person. And that is a specific prediction that I create a thought in my mind and saying, okay, this is what I expect now, right? And it is just a hope of how things might unfold. An expectation can be conscious or subconscious. I mean, while as an entrepreneur, you create this conscious thought and expectation about, your team, your employees, or just as a person working in the corporate or anywhere, with your colleagues, with your peer. As an entrepreneur, even the support that we are seeking from our peers, from the networks that we create or build, or communities that we go to, it's an expectation. It's how I want things to be, right? And we are consciously creating that. While subconsciously, so many times with our children, with our family, even with our colleagues and all, right? Every day I'm meeting them. So I expect them, naturally, to be a little more kind towards me, understanding. Those are things we don't even think, we just assume. And they happen so subtly and subconsciously. Oh, my child. So my child is supposed to do things that I like, or that I teach them, or that I want them to do. They're supposed to, make me happy, take care of me as they grow. Those are just some very subconscious expectations, which can vary in degree of realism and achievability, because of our conditioned mind, right? And how they differ and vary in degrees of realism and achievability is what we're going to touch upon. So I want you all to take 2 minutes to actually reflect and make a list and write down your expectations in different areas of life. Or what is your expectation from your work? What is your expectation from your relationships? What's your expectation from your family? What's your expectation from your health?
Namita, I just want to point out here, these are such pertinent questions. And
Thank
they're so simple, right? But when you write them down, even the answers come very simply, at least to me. But then
Yes.
we overcomplicate them somehow.
And that's the beauty of it, right? And that's the beauty I've learned of asking questions, which we normally don't. Hi, that's your lovely daughter. So sweet. Hi, yes, catchy canvas is only what I see. Please go ahead. You have a question or you want to say something, please share.
Hello,
Is it
Namita.
possible? Hi.
Yeah, I'm Sumbul from Catchy Canvas.
Hi, Sumbul.
Yes, Namita, I was like stress management we talk about, and when we say about that our personal life or kids or our marriage or other things which cause stress, the first thing we usually do is self-blaming. And we do come to such a point of self-blaming that we affect our health to an extent that we start damaging it. And I'm saying this from my own experience because I have come to a point that I have collapsed because of stress. So stress management is, yeah, means we get readings, okay, we have to do this, we have to do that. But I'm one of the person like, that 3 o'clock thinker who get up in the 3 o'clock, let's do, what should we do? Let's think, overthink and overthink. So this is something not that easy, I feel. But yes, with time we learn, and when we usually learn is that when we harm ourselves, after that we realize, oh, we harm from our own stress, and then we start managing it. Because earlier I used to feel, okay, fine, stress is what? Why people get so much stress? But when I experienced, then I understood, oh yes, we do get stress, and at times it is not in our hand to manage it. And we end up troubling our own selves.
Thank you for sharing. And I hear you. And like you said, uh, I will challenge you on that when you say it's not in our hands. And I will leave that for a little later. If we have time, we'll get back to it because right now we're talking about managing expectations. And while somewhere the two are related, it's a very deep topic, this stress and how we create it and how to manage it. Maybe, I mean, we can make a note of it and we can do the next webinar on this because it's a vast topic by itself. If I were to start talking about it, then we'll have to scrap this and go to that. So,
Absolutely. No, this is a very valid point. Thanks for raising this, Sumbul, catchy canvas. But we will definitely come back to this. I really, really think it's important for a lot of us to manage this.
yes.
Thank
And
you for
Sumbul,
sharing.
I will definitely touch upon it at the end of it because you brought it up. And so one of the expectations that I have from myself is that, okay, everybody who's here, who's taken out time to be here, should carry back something of value with them, right?
Yes.
And
No,
so
Namita,
I should try my best.
we feel like we want to manage it, and we know that there is a way of managing it. But when some stress, which is maybe on, I have not experienced like in work related. Work related, I experienced long back, and I have decided, okay, fine, it is like that, it is B, but that will not affect me. But in personal way, when it came on me, I was like, okay, fine, I will be able to manage. But yes, it took me a real good time, not even I can say few months, but it took me years to come up,
Sumbul,
overcome
it
that.
doesn't have to take years. It's about learning in a sense. And I can assure you that's my work. That's what I do. And that's what I'm most passionate about, creating that ease, joy, and glory in life, making life simple. So that's all of my work. It's centered around the thoughts that you're expressing. And I can assure you, it doesn't have to take yours.
Inshallah.
This is not the right time to talk about it. Okay, so
Okay.
we'll move on. And I want you to take another moment or two to reflect, how these expectations influence your behavior. So let's take just a very short while, because I want to be very mindful of the time as well. And so just look at it. You've written down points on, what are your expectations at work? What are your expectations from your relationships, from your family, from health, and how does it impact your behavior? And I would then request anybody who can take the courage to share, because the more we share, the more answers you will get. Simple, like I've already told you, and thank you for sharing. So, because that's given us a whole topic to talk about next time. And I've also shared with you that that's, vast. I mean, I can never do justice to it in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour also. And yet I will try my best to do whatever I can in the next session. And I can assure you, it is something we can learn.
I look forward to it.
Thank you. And anybody who wants to share from any incident?
I could go.
Okay, thank you.
I think what I've written down, can I share what I've written down? And
Yes, please.
Yeah, and
I
then
mean,
move.
if it's okay with you, please go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously with your expectations from money, work comes money,
Yeah.
and family comes love and fulfillment, right? And health is basically just to be fit, keep going, and ensure that you don't fall sick. This is the basic expectation that I've got. But somewhere I feel that it influences when you don't get enough love and fulfillment from one area, you try to take it from the other, and then you try to take, it kind of gets confusing when you don't have that very, very specifically, I would say, articulated with yourself as well. So from relationships and family, if you're not feeling fulfilled or your expectations are not being met, somewhere it'll spill over. That's what I feel.
Thank you for sharing, Armin. And that helps me then connect the dots and lead all the other participants as well forward, right? Now, like you highlighted, from work, my expectation is money. And that's just one of the expectations, right? There must be multiple expectations and many more. Money. While that's an expectation that every human being will have, and you will agree to this, and yet we all have different degrees of this expectation, right? What you may expect will be different from what Aradhana expects, what I expect, what Zainab expects. So we are all entrepreneurs here. And yet, what and how far and how much we want to do, how we see our work is different, right? And this brings me back to the point that, as human beings, we have these default design template, which says that our human needs include love and connection, which you highlighted, certainty, uncertainty, which is variety, and growth and significance and contribution. Yet, what makes us different? What makes Armin? What makes Aradhana? What makes Amanda, and Sumbul, Zainab, and me is how much of each do I want, right? And in relationships, in work, that's the area and that's the aspect that we very easily neglect. I recently met a gentleman who's a realtor, real estate agent, and he has a couple of obviously other real estate agents working for him. And he said, right, I don't know what to do with these guys in my team. They just kind of one sale they make and then they sit. And then that's it. No matter how much I coax them or, give them the incentive, they are not motivated. How do I bring motivation into my team? I said, well, I mean, if you were to just zoom out and see from a bird's eye perspective, what I see is just a clear mismatch in expectation. A person who only wants to earn this much For him, making that one sale is enough. No, why should he bother himself? You, as an owner of that agency, real estate agency, your dream is bigger than theirs, right? And that's where our mismatch in expectation comes. And that's where it influences our behavior. He was feeling frustrated, stressed, and really, kind of losing out. And then, he goes to screaming, shouting at his team, and doing all sorts of things which are not helping in any way. And that's how even small things like my expectation of love, like Armin said, if I'm not getting it, influences my behavior. I might either withdraw or I might become aggressive, right? Demanding that attention. So when children are actually throwing tantrums, or when they are actually seeking attention, when they're doing these things which only which are supposedly in our conditioned mind, not most ideal, what are they doing? They're just trying to draw our attention. And that's because they're lacking that love and connection. And just to fulfill it, because they're not conscious of it, because they're not aware of it, they do whatever it takes to get that attention. And they're fulfilling it in not the most ideal way, because they don't know how else, because they're not conscious about it, because we're not talking about these things in school, because this is not taught to us. And that's unfortunate and sad, but that's the way it is. And what are the most common challenges that come in meeting expectations? One is assumption. As an entrepreneur, as a parent, as a spouse, whatever I may expect from the other, sometimes we just assume. I just assume that, oh, I have made this dinner and my husband should be very happy with it. Or, oh, I have brought in a cake today and the team should be all gaga about it, right? We forget that just as we have expectations, the other person also may have various different expectations. And maybe they're not in the right frame of mind. Maybe they're going through their own different set of challenges which they haven't yet shared with us. We don't know. So I think the best thing that Aradhana started with is, I don't know. I mean, let me just go with the attitude, okay, I don't know what it is. Let me not assume, and let me just ask. Let me just announce. Let me just say, right? And many a times we have unrealistic expectations also. You know, I remember there was this couple, one of my clients, and this woman kept saying, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And she's, and the husband would say the wife is always cribbing, I don't know what to do. It's simply because she's been home the whole day. So she expects when he comes, he's going to shower her with love and affection, be very romantic, while the man, when he's coming home, is all tired, exhausted. All he wants is to be left alone, put his feet up on the sofa, couch, or on a big stool, watch TV, and shut the other world around for some time, right? And that's that unrealistic expectation, or a mismatch again in expectation. Many a time external influences, you know uh, if we go back a few decades, the roles of each gender were very well defined, and so expectations also were kind of more understood, more out there, and everybody kind of just followed, right? Now that we have merged those boundaries, no good and bad, no judgment here, and yet we're bombarded with information from all sorts of digital media. There is so much of information overload. We look at people, putting pictures on Instagram stories, Facebook, and saying that, oh, my life is the most happening life. And somewhere, naturally, that little subconsciously, unconsciously, that expectation, that comparison seeps in. Ah, look at them, they're always going out for a holiday. Look at her, she's so successful, and her business is thriving, while I'm not able to do what she's doing. what we forget here is that, we're only looking at what is being shown to us. We're not able to see the other side of it. We don't know the reality in its absolute truth. When we see the success of one person, we don't see the hard work that they've put in behind it. When we see all the glory on the surface and all the happy tales that we see, many a times, so many people have come back and told me, oh, I know, they have such a rocky relationship and they're just going out to make, it work or something. No judgment again. But we do get influenced by what we see. And the fourth biggest and the most common challenge is miscommunication. How many times have we actually communicated, whether it's with our team, whether it's with our children, whether it's with our spouses, whether it's with our friends, what do we really expect? And on this note, I will share, I'm guilty too. So when I began on this journey, very early on, when I'd just gotten into the coaching world, I also had this expectation from my friends that they are my friends. So, oh, they will like every reel that I post, or, they'll be very supportive of my journey. They're going to encourage me. And it's only gradually as I evolved and as I learned, I realized that, all of us are actually playing with images of people, relationships, understanding of these expectations based on our conditioning. My mind, my conditioning says, oh, my friends should support me. Where is it written? No rule book says they should. I mean, yeah, we've just created this belief because we heard, we said, and we have experienced. And yet I realize it's such an unfair expectation. They don't even understand the work that I'm doing. They're still, kind of living with that image of me who was so different from who I am today. How is it even fair for me to expect that compassion, that empathy, that they'll just support me in everything that I do? Why should they? Right? And these are kind of expectations that we just build on because somewhere we said, oh, friends are like family, and your like friends are like the best thing that you can have. All the social media shows, your friends stand by you all the time. So we've just accumulated these belief systems. And also emotional factors: fear, anxiety, insecurity. Now, if as an entrepreneur, you're insecure, you're afraid, you're fearful of, what the consequence will be about, making those decisions, or, if you do not achieve your targets for the year, for the month, obviously it's going to influence your behavior, and it's going to, impact the relationship that you have with your teammates, with your colleagues, and your own insecurities become your projections. And then it just creates that challenge because expectations, they are stemming out of fear, anxiety, and insecurity. And that's not the most ideal way of setting expectations. How can we then overcome these challenges? Does anybody have any question at this point? Do you have, would you agree to these things, or, is there anything that you would like to share? I'm happy to take it in the moment, or we can take question and answers later.
I think my point would be about how does one set realistic expectations?
Okay.
The
So
realistic expectations
we're going
element.
to cover
But yeah,
that.
this is the thought that's coming to me. But yes, if it's being covered, then yeah, I'll wait.
Yes, we're going to cover that. Yes, Aradhana.
Yeah, I also kind of, I just saw this and I realized, because I was going to say that we are human, right? So there will be expectations. You cannot do away with it. But then I just saw this, yes, set realistic expectations. And do away with assumptions, yes, assumptions and presumptions both. Right. We'd wait for you to further
Okay,
elaborate.
so do away with assumptions. Okay, That is the first thing. And I don't think that really needs much clarification. While your question, I mean, you said like, okay, so how do we, set realistic expectations, and how do we know what is really realistic, right? And we're going to cover that. So when we talk about realistic expectations, there are two aspects to it. One is, of course, in context of work, and one is in context to our personal relationships, right? And the most important thing here is in both effective communication with your own self and with your colleagues, your spouse, everybody, whoever is, part of that story, whoever you're going to be dealing with, whoever is, that is concerned, or whoever it is going to impact. So let's say, for example, my expectation from my work is, okay, you've set a target for the month. So first of all, it's, you need to step back, take a back foot, and then ask yourself, honestly, is it a realistic expectation? And when you do that, you will know, right? Okay, you know what? This is a very access tool again. Whenever you're setting an target as entrepreneurs, okay, just put it on your hand and think about it deep down, touch in with yourself, and ask and notice, does it feel heavy or it feels light? If it's feeling heavy, meaning you're still holding some fear, or you're holding some anxiety around it, you're still not sure about it, okay, then the next question would be to ask yourself what would make it light, right? And you will get those answers, because you're the best judge about your own work, your own business. I can only give you tools how to find out. Secondly, yes, there are times when we want to scale, we want to go higher. And at that time, as an entrepreneur, it's important for us to know how much can I realistically in my physical capacity do? How much can I really take in the load? How is it going to impact other things in my life, right? Many a times, and this is something which I come across very frequently with my clients, right? Now, there's this couple again where the husband is very driven by growth. He wants to grow and he wants to move higher up the ladder, while what he's not consciously aware of right now, or like when we did so there is a coaching tool called the Wheel of Life, and it says that life, it has 8 components, which is your work, your finances, your relationships, spirituality, entertainment, health, and all of that, right? So pick that, you give each of those components a number, a rating on a scale of 0 to 9, and see how and where it is. If you notice there is too much of gap between one and the other, so why it's called a Wheel of Life is, if it's uneven and the range is wide between one and the other, your wheel is going to be always rocky, right? So setting realistic expectation means that when you're talking about numbers and finances, you should also be realistic about what will it take to get there. How much time do you need? How much time investment will you have to give on a daily basis? How much are you already doing? So making it very broad, very deep, understanding what it requires from your end, from the others, from the team, and then communicating it effectively. Say you want to do it, no harm, right? Then at least make sure that you are sharing that with your family, that I'm planning to do this. Okay, now for that, XYZ I will have to do, which also means that it'll cut down from this aspect of our life for some time, right? And if that's happening for some time, is everybody okay with it, right? And once that expectation has been set out, if everybody is okay with it, great. If not, what else can we do? How much can we do? Be comfortable and confident being you. Again, this is about, external influence, right? it's not necessary that we all have to do, or we all have to scale, or I have to become Armin, or Aradhana has to become me, or Zainab has to become, Sumbul. No, we all have our own unique journeys, and that's what we should be mindful about. It doesn't matter what other people think. To somebody, it may seem, she's not doing enough. She's got only 4 clients and 5 clients, and that's okay. It's my journey. What do I want? So, it's about being confident and comfortable being you. Just somebody may be very comfortable on camera, somebody may not, and that's okay, right? So let's not get entangled into the fact that I have to do this. And I tell most of my clients, don't go by, I need to do this. You don't need to do anything. We only need air and water. Let's turn everything else into wants. So, and I'll invite you all at this moment to experience this shift. Whatever you think, whatever your expectation is, if you say, I need my children to love me, or I need to, grow to a certain level in my career, I need my spouse to do this, just say it in your head, feel it in your body, and see how it feels when you say, I need this. Armin, would you like to share how it feels? How's the energy?
I'm still in my thoughts.
Okay. Pick any one need and just see the energy. When I say, I need to do this. Yes, Aradhana.
It's dependent on
Yes. And it's
others.
also a little heavy, right?
Yeah, because you don't,
Makes me feel
it's
as if,
not in your
something
control.
I need
Not in your
a lot of
control.
force to do it. Yeah, it's not. Okay, now change it to, I want to. Just the
Yeah.
very same thing. Just
Yeah.
change it to, I want to. And notice the energy.
More confidence and more in control.
Absolutely. So if you were to take back only one thing from here today, take back this, turn all your needs into wants. When you want something, whenever, we as women will all vouch for it. And all of us have experienced this sometime in life. If there is a bag that you want, if there is a dress that you really liked, if there is anything that you want, right? You start saving up for it, and, you'll make sure it happens somehow or the other, right? Even if it's about wanting to meet that friend, make time for it. So whenever we want something, it's easier to get, rather than when we say, I need to do this, I need to do that. So even if you're looking at somebody and saying, I would like to have that or be like that, then don't say, I need to do this for my job or my work or my business. Just say, I want to, and it'll shift, and the universe will immediately start helping you. And then of course you can follow up with questions like, okay, how can I do this? That'll help. Clear and effective communication is very, very important. Just as important as effective communication in sharing what specifically you have in mind with your team, it's also requires active listening. It also requires you to understand and hear, sometimes not only the words, through the body language, what others are trying to communicate. So please begin to hear more than just the words. Notice the energy, and what's also not being said, while that can also be dangerous at times, because then you're also assuming things. Don't assume, but with practice, active listening always helps. So with practice, you will be able to make that differentiation between where you're not just assuming, you're catching the energy and tuning into it. And then, of course, self-awareness. Acknowledge your emotions. Be aware of your own conditioning, right? Where we all in relationships kind of create that friction is when we are trying to change each other based on, our perception or how I want things, while we forget that the other person is a human being just as we are. They have also grown up with a very different set of conditioning, very different set of beliefs. I had this client some time ago, okay, and she said like, oh my God, my husband, she belongs to a family of doctors. So parents are doctors, brothers are doctors. She herself is a doctor who's not practicing right now here. And she says, I don't know what to do because my husband just doesn't seem to understand. He takes everything so carelessly. He's not even bothered about his health, not bothered about what he eats. And I just asked her, okay, in your own environment, besides your parents and in your family, have you seen sometimes people behave differently despite the fact that they have all the understanding and knowledge? She said that I've seen, my parents, my family, everybody, just at the slightest of something, if you notice something in the body, then you should always go check, show to the doctor. While on his side of the family, they're like, okay, hai na, thoda sa swelling ho gaya, koi baat nahi, we'll take care of it. It'll go, give it some time, it'll heal. I said, and what's wrong in that? And she said, no, that's not the way. I'm like, okay. And if you look at it from the lens of his filters, he's grown up that way. He's lived his life for 30 years that way. And it's all fine till now, right? And you come suddenly telling him this is not the way to do things, while he's also assuming inside of his head, this is a crazy woman. She makes, create such a big scene for nothing. It's a small thing, it's a small cut, it'll heal. Because he's also had that previous experience where it just heals on its own. Who's right or wrong? Nobody. Because we just use the lenses and filters of our own conditioning to set these expectations. So be aware of your own conditioning, of your own emotions. The best way is to acknowledge, yeah, okay, that's how I grew up. That's how I believe it is to be done. And maybe the other person doesn't. Assume responsibility. Now, in these areas of life that we first wrote, right, all the things that you wrote down, now ponder on what is in your control. So all the things that you wrote down, what do you expect from whatever your expectations were for these 4 areas of life? What all is in your control? And you can only take charge of what's in your control. And how then, once I've identified what is it that I can control, I do something about it. Okay, there are certain things which are not in my control, and yet they need to be fulfilled. They need to happen so that everything falls in place and the pieces of the puzzle fit in together to create this beautiful apple that I want to eat. Clarity. First of all is clarity. And I know this is a very overrated term, smart goal, smart something, but it's very impactful because most of us do not really understand how deeply it impacts the unconscious mind. You have to be very specific. I had a client, and when we were doing these things, what do you want? Where do you want to go from here? How would you like your life to be? And she said, okay, I would like to have, at least 5 new clients every week, do this, do that. I'm like, great, okay, we set it up. Are you being specific? She said, it's not my job to tell her because it's her story. I kept asking her, are you being specific? She said, yes. I said, are you okay? How will you measure you have them? She said, I have a number, so it's very measurable, right? I can measure if I have 5 clients, I'll know. Is it achievable? Yes, yes, very much so. And is it realistic? Yes. Is it time bound? Yes, everything. And a few months later, she comes to me like, I'm getting my clients, but they don't pay me. My God, what do I do? I'm always having to chase them for money and this and that. It's all happening, but not the way I wanted. I said, okay, can we do another session on realistic settings and ingraining it into your neurology? So that's part of NLP that we do. And through that, you put it into your subconscious and say, okay, this is how I want. And so when you're asking the universe also, this is one thing I've learned, right? The universe is there. There is abundance for everybody. There is everything for everybody. Whatever you need, all you have to do is ask for it, be specific, and you shall have it. The thing is, we do not, again, being specific to 5 clients a week, 5 clients a month, is leaving out the accountability factor of how much do I want them to pay, how do I want them to pay. So go to those specific details. Authenticity and alignment on purpose. Always know why you're doing what you're doing. Right? Because, and be, like I said again, authentic. Don't get carried away by what everybody is doing, how everybody is doing things. It may not even align with your purpose. So just be very well aware every time. Pause, take a self audit. Is this aligned with my purpose? By purpose, also people, have social media has made it such a big thing that you have to have some purpose where it's impacting 1,000 people. It's not like that. Purpose could be as simple as, my purpose is to make sure my parents are well taken care of, they are comfortable, my children, they don't face any discomfort. That's my purpose. And isn't it a beautiful purpose? I'm impacting 4 5 other human beings' life. Charity always begins at home. So, whenever we are thinking, though it's good to think big, let's not neglect anything that's very close to us. So keep all aspects of your being aligned to everything else that you do. This I can never emphasize enough on. Reducing ambiguity by clear communication. Whoever is part of this dream, desire, want that you have, please communicate very effectively with them clearly. How do you want to do? And also share your why. When Armin, you remember you've been showing and we've been talking about how Simon Sinek explains the why is so important, right? And why are we doing what are we doing, whatever we are doing? So the best ways, of course, the first thing is, okay, I want to earn some money. Why do I want to earn money? To be comfortable, yeah. But why do I want to be comfortable, right? So write down at least 15, 20 whys, and you'll get down to actually why you really want to do it. And that will connect you so much to your goal. And it'll help you share that and communicate with others as well. And, everything will fall in place. While just as much as communicating and effectively communicating is important, it's also important to establish boundaries. And when you begin to do so, you will then actually be able to appreciate and respect others who do. Because if there are people, and this very commonly happens with people who are on the other side of the table, facing the brunt of their managers, their bosses, or their employers sending them emails at 10 in the night, 11 in the night, expecting them to reply. And then they say, like, okay, what do? I don't have a choice. We always have a choice. So if you establish your boundaries from the beginning, it'll be very healthy for yourself, as well as your team, as well as your family. And it will help you do things even more effectively, because that'll leave then time for yourself as well. Accountability. Take responsibility. If something is not going well, never say it's because of them. Always say it's because of me. Because when we say it's because of them, then we throw away our power into the hands of others. whenever we say, I'm not meeting my expectations, or this is not happening, and this guy's not doing his work, that woman is not doing her work, my maid's not doing this, my child is not doing this, it's because we are throwing away our power in their hands and saying they are responsible to make me feel the way I'm feeling, and they are not doing their job well. Step back, take responsibility, and say, okay, maybe here is something for me to look into. And as I assume responsibility, it's because of me. What can I do differently? How can I differently communicate? How can I differently share or encourage them or get them to see things? So then you take back control in your hand, and it's easier to shift other people's perception, perspective, everything as you do so. If, I were to leave you with 3 simple hacks. I mean, I know, and this happens to a lot of clients. And like Sumbul said, oh, like stress, let's talk about it. So many a times we are at the end of a session and people's like, all that you're saying is great, but, give us something that we can just go back with and immediately begin to apply. All this that you're saying, yes, I understand, and it will take time. If I can today give you, and you can begin to apply these things in your life, trust me, it's going to be a game changer. And like Armin had said, that prompted me, Armin, when you said it's going to be a game changer. This is what I want everybody to take back with them. Okay. What is the 3-2-1 technique? And for that, I'm sorry, I'm going to minimize because I've written my notes here. Armin, I will have to just minimize this a little. I want to actually just refer to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when I say the 3-2-1 technique, what do I really mean? Okay. Of course, begin by taking 3 deep breaths so that it brings you into the present moment. Deep breath, exhale. Always has that deep exhalation through the mouth, always has the power and the potential to kind of release any kind of stress, any kind of anxiety that you're holding. Bring yourself back to the present moment, and then ask yourself these 2 important questions. What is bothering me most about the situation? Okay. And then what emotion am I feeling right now? Name it. For example, like if, what is bothering me about this right now? It could be as simple as, I was expecting a raise, I was expecting a promotion, I didn't get it, right? So what is bothering me right now? Not having gotten a promotion. Okay. What is the emotion that I'm feeling? Am I feeling, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling sad, whatever it is. Because each emotion, again, that's another huge big topic, but acknowledging an emotion also loosens the grip of that we have in our mind to it. Because the moment I say, when you say I am sad, your whole being, every pore in the body then begins to feel that way. The energy is very heavy. And when you say I am feeling sad, notice that it just loosens up little thing. I'm feeling it, so okay, I can do something about it, right? So acknowledge the emotion, and then the one thing you can ask yourself is, okay, what is one constructive step that I can take to move forward from here? For example, if it's about the job, okay, I will go back, reflect on the interview, or, the appraisal, and see, what the feedback that I received, what are the future opportunities that I can take, or, whatever it may be. So ask yourself 3-2-1, take 3 deep breaths, ask yourself the 2 most valuable questions of what is it that I'm feeling most, disappointed, or whatever. What is it that I'm upset about? And what am I feeling? What emotion? And then what is the one constructive step that I can take to move forward? The 10-10-10 is another wonderful technique, very simple, very effective. We're sometimes, for small expectations, we feel very disappointed, even for big ones, right? Maybe something like this also. Ask yourself, how will I feel about this 10 minutes from now, 10 hours from now, 10 days from now, 10 weeks from now, 10 years from now, and you khalas, it just disappears. Sometimes you realize that it's really not worth brooding over, because 10 hours from now, it's just simply not going to make any difference, how my child reacted or what they did. And 10 days from now, no way. So 10 hours from now, it just releases the grip of that intense emotion. And this is another very powerful one. And I'm going to share that with you, and you're all going to have that aha moment, okay? What? As it is, just ask yourself, what is it? Okay. So the W stands for what's not matching my expectation. The H stands for how is it impacting me? If we were to take up, the same thing between, expectation and reality, what's not matching my expectation? I expected to get a promotion. In reality, it didn't happen. So that's not matching my expectation. How is it impacting me? I'm feeling disappointed. Acknowledge and accept the emotion. And T, take the action forward. So for different people, it works differently. Some people are more linguistic. Some people are more into numbers. Whatever technique works for you, please feel free to use it. And these are sure short ways of releasing and getting you back into that state of more calmness, where you can think and use your logical mind, which is the manager here, and also allow your subconscious to give you answers. I know we are at the end of time also. And so with that, I would love to leave it all to you all to share. What are you taking away from the session? What action can you take? What do you think? Are there any potential barriers that you might face? Over to all of you.
So I have a question on the last bit, the what technique. Take action to move forward. So after acknowledging the emotion, you mentioned take action to move forward. So move past it, move with it. What is the navigation technique?
Again, so it is like, what is it that I can do next, right? What is the one constructive thing that I can do now? What can I do about it now? What else is possible, right? Okay, in some situations, it could be like just asking that simple question, okay, this is not worked out. What else is possible? Because unless, we release that grip of what is not working, only then can we open doors to more possibilities. So it is like moving constructively towards whatever you can do to now make things work in your favor, whether it's past it, with it. Okay, this happened. Now, what else can I do? What else can I do to make this even better? Okay, we've reached to a certain point. So it depends on the situation, depends how you can use it. It is an action, taking that one action that will help you.
Thank you. Thank you for this, Namita. We'll open the floor to questions. Anybody wants to type in something or ask questions, we'll just take a breather, reflect. If you want to keep some slide that you want everybody to reflect on, Namita, you can move back to that slide. But we'll just take a moment, 2 minutes, and we'll let people share either on chat or just unmute themselves, and Namita will have that discussion. This is a time of reflection, everyone. It doesn't necessarily need to only have questions. I believe just opening up sometimes and sharing something that you're feeling at that moment gives you clarity more than anything else as well. And Namita is a very, very amazing facilitator of that. So please take that opportunity and, feel free. I'm going to switch off my camera for 2 minutes and let anybody else who wants to open their camera or come in, please.
Thank you, Armin. Yes, anybody who wants to ask anything, share anything, feel free to share. What are you taking away? I'm sure you've learned something new. Aradhana, I'm sure you've learned something new. Because when you come with that mindset, you always open doors for more possibilities.
Yeah, I will talk in a bit because somebody's just come in and my dog
Sure.
is making a bit of a
Okay,
noise. So I don't want to make the place noisy.
sure. Anybody else who wants to talk? Who wants to ask? Alia, anybody? Otherwise, from my end, a heartfelt gratitude to all of you who are here today, all those who've taken time to be here. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you. And give yourself a hug. You know, you've done this, you've opened yourself to learning something new. I am 100% sure, you know, those 3 simple hacks that I've given you, they work very well for most of my clients. And so I am sure that, you know, one of them at least you can begin to apply in your own life immediately. Please do so and stay connected. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Mindful Mentoring by Namita. My previous account was hacked, so please don't get confused between mindful.mentoring and mindful mentoring by Namita. You will see 2 accounts, but it's Mindful Mentoring by Namita, which has very few followers, very few posts because it's again a new account. And I'm on LinkedIn, available for any of you, available for Sumbul. Okay, getting back to your question about stress, right? Sumbul, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you said stress. Okay, I'll explain it with a little story, all right?
Mm-hmm.
There were 4 girls, and they were all 4 of them in the same class in grade 10. And they bunked a math class together to have some fun. They had a lot of fun and they were caught. And the teacher then gave them a big shouting, called all 4 of them, made them stand in the staff room, gave them a huge lecture, and scolded them a lot, told them things, you know, like, what do you think you were doing? You're out of my mind. Exams are in a few days. You should have been in the class. And what kind of an example are you setting? You know, all sorts of things. And after the teacher left or asked them to leave and they all got back together again, they said, you know, the first one said that this cynical old woman, she has nothing else to do except that she's always, you know, she's never had fun in her life. And so she's always at our back and screaming and, you know, she's useless loser kind of a female. Let's not think about it. The second one, she said, how dare this woman talks to us like this? I'm going to have my father call the principal. She has no right to talk to us like this. You know, our parents are paying the fees and, you know, we can do whatever we want. And who is she to tell us all this? While the third one said, well, if we stop for a minute and think, actually, what all, I mean, okay, yeah, she shouted at us, but she wasn't all wrong. You know, what she said was right. We have exams coming in a few days, and ideally, we should have been preparing for it, right? And the fourth one was sobbing bitterly because she was unconsolable, because she was scared, she was afraid that if her parents got to know of the incident, then, you know, it would make them sad and they'd be very unhappy. And she was feeling very upset. She was crying, scared, and she said they might even beat her. So now you tell me, Sumbul, the situation was the same. The response and the result was the same. Whatever the teacher said, she said it to all 4 of them. While the response that each one gave was very different. And why was that? Because of whatever they had inside, right? How they had seen the world around them, their conditioning. And stress is same. It's our response to a situation. Everybody responds differently in the same situation.
Agreed.
Yeah,
So
I have seen this so many times. Like, you know, when I was at work, there were people who were sometimes just going crazy over an event that we had to plan, and there'd be half the people who couldn't care less, and they were like me, like, okay, let's just do it. Let's find ways of doing these things and get it done quickly, right? So stress is very different for each one. It's your thoughts. It's the way you perceive it.
that's very true. And I agree to it. And when I said that it took time for me to overcome that, it's like, I know these points, and knowing this and implementing, it's two different things.
So, Sumbul, all I can say is, well, it took time for you. It takes as much time as you want to. And I have my clients who I guarantee a shift as a facilitator, as a coach in 12 weeks to change absolutely all their old conditioning, deleted, distorted, and whatever, just change the perception 100%. And it can take years if you're doing it on your own or with somebody or whatever. So it depends on how soon we want to do it, how much it means to us. Yes, Aradhana. Sumbal, I hope I've been able to answer your question as briefly as possible, at least for now.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Actually, this was not my question, Amita. I was at that time telling you what is actually happening. It was not as a question, but as a thought I shared.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyways, but that's a good topic to handle. Yes, Aradhana, please go ahead.
So I have a question here, Namita.
Yes.
There are individuals who, when they set an expectation of themselves, and if they are not able to meet that expectation or achieve it, they feel outright rotten, and you fall into a thing of low self-esteem, and kind of that give up stance. So there, like you said, there are always different reactions. There will be somebody who will say, okay, never mind, I'm not giving up, I'm going to try again. But there will be others who will say, okay, I give up, or I can't do this, or you just shut down. It's like panic and shut down. So why does that happen?
Conditioning. It's how you have learned to perceive the world. It's how you've learned to handle situations. So if you've learned, and I mean, this you will all agree with me, right? Everything that we know today, we've learned from somewhere.
Even our reactions, I think our reactions
It's
are
also your perception, like you said. Yeah.
correct. Your perception is also based on whatever you've learned, correct?
Yeah, but then 4 people, 5 people, 6 people in the same family, same upbringing, but will react differently.
Yes.
Just as those 4 friends.
Yes, just like those 4 friends, and just like, okay, so I'll explain this with another this thing. Uh, you know, there was this guy on the street, loser kind of in terms of how we generalize and categorize these people, a drunkard, begging on the street, and somebody goes up and says like, why are you doing this, and why can't you do something, you're healthy, create a life for yourself, stop drinking. And he's like, what do you expect? This is what I had seen all my life, right? I mean, this is the kind of role model I had a father who was a drunkard and who just did this, and this is what I can do, this is all I know how to do, right? And on the other hand, there's this man who's very successful, very driven, very committed to, just making a life teetotaler. And they said like, why don't you drink? Yeah, it's okay to have a glass of wine sometimes. And he says, hell no, I've seen how it impacts the family. I had a father who was a drunkard, loser fellow, right? So it's the same environment, it's how you're perceiving it. And yet, what I'm trying to emphasize is they both learned something, right? If we've learned, everything that we know is learned and acquired from somewhere, right?
Yeah,
it's a
true.
perception, yes, but it's learned. So it's possible to learn something new if we want to.
or
Exactly.
or unlearn.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, unlearn first and then learn. I don't know. It's automatically this AI has raised my hand because I was raised my hand. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Namita, for this. I think any end notes, any parting notes, anybody? I've just sent a message on the group, on the chat, where we want to know if any one of you wants to have a one-on-one session, a discovery session, or a clarity call with Namita. she'd be more than happy to do that. And there is another link that is shared right below it, where you can book a clarity call free of cost with Namita.
Yes.
Uh,
Thank you for that, Arvind. Thank you so much. Happy to have a clarity call with anybody. Please do use the link, and if you wish to.
It's free of cost, it's 30 minutes, and it will probably just give you the foundational steps that of how to navigate what you want to navigate, whatever challenge or whatever roadblock or whatever element you have in your life. It just needs clarity. I can't stress enough on the importance of people that are disconnected from you in your life, in your day-to-day, but can see things from a different perspective and give you that, that unadulterated, non-judgmental point of view to just give you more clarity. And I think Namita is one fabulous individual who can really help in multiple areas. Do book a clarity call with her. It's called a discovery call link, the second link that I have shared. You just have to go on to the link and put in your details. And then the team from Its Survey will follow up and schedule a call with her and you. It's absolutely free, no strings attached. But I think you'll walk away with a lot of direction. And then if you want to follow through, I mean, Namita is there. She'll take it from there. All right.
I mean, I can't emphasize enough on what you just said. And I was also one of those people who initially had inhibitions about, the general perception that we have, oh, coaching or is something like if you have a major problem or something, then you need coaching or guidance or something. But then now that I am in it, I continuously seek coaching from my peers and from other coaches, paid sessions as well, so that I get to see a different perspective every time. They can flip that coin for me and show me a different side of things which I was unable to see before.
It doesn't only need to be in problems, it just needs to be in certain mental blocks.
It's just for clarity. It's just some mental blocks. It doesn't have to be for problems alone. That's why I said I was also one of those people who believed it was only for that. It's not only for problems, it's just for clarity as well.
Right.
Aradhana, you have something to say?
Sorry, just one more question. I wanted to ask what that clarity call would involve.
What that clarity call would involve. The clarity call involves you asking questions and me asking a few more questions, and that's it. I mean,
Is it towards the recalibration program? Is the clarity call for the recalibration program?
So, like Armin said, it's no strings attached. Of course, when you're coming on a clarity call, it allows me an opportunity. You're coming with the intention of finding out something, right? So the recalibration program is how I help my clients, right? And yet it's a no strings attached. You can obviously say you want to. I mean, when I share how it might help, you might be interested, you might not be. Like, when you're selling something, right? People come, they see in an exhibition, right? No strings attached, but people can ask you, what does this look like? Touch and feel.
Can I jump in? So I just want
Yes,
to ask
please.
everyone here, just to set the precedence here, just for a raise of hands, everyone, I can see a lot of you all are still around. So my question to you all is, just show me a raise of hands or just send a yes in the chat if any of you all have had a mentor or a coach or a life coach in your life to help you at any point in life. Yes? That's an answer to say, yes, I have. Before, after, doesn't matter. Or just no. Okay. Rishna says, yes, I have. Anybody else? And I think everyone, so if it's no also, please write it so I know. No, okay. Anybody else? Humay says no. I can say no. I've had therapy. I've had counseling, but not a coach as such. No, Aradhana. And this is very important. So I'd like to just ask Rishna, if you can unmute yourself and just tell us about what kind of coaching you took, if it's okay with you.
So basically, I took like business coaching, just to help me navigate through my journey. Because, of course, I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was quite young. I was 24, and I did not study business at all. I only did teaching, and that's how I started. So, of course, I needed somebody to guide me, like, how to go
Right.
about the finances, how to manage the business, how to work around a lot of things. And for me, Wiggles and Giggles is like my baby. So I'm super attached to it. So if anything goes wrong, it's
Yeah.
not acceptable. And I need to understand that, my business is separate from me as an identity. And
Yeah.
it's okay for things not to happen the way I want them to. So yeah, it was just a lot of like my anger issues and, how to manage the business in a more calmer way. And yeah, so that's why I had somebody helping me, but it was not a very long time. I think I did about 5 6 sessions, but just the fact that I had somebody, it really helped.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Rishna. So it
You're
does help
welcome.
thank you. In every aspect of life, it does help. Sometimes you just cannot see that. And I'd like to share this with everyone here, whoever is trying to navigate their own steps, boundaries, and, whatever it is that they want to navigate. Sometimes just reaching out, understanding what you need to navigate, because that is a question mark in the first place sometimes, will really help. And it doesn't take a lot. It's not an arm and a leg in terms of pricing, also, when you look at the value that you would get eventually. And I'm sure Rishna has reaped much more value in stabilizing herself, her emotions, her experiences in her business journey after she took those 5 to 6 sessions. So it's not a long-term journey. It can be short-term also, but it's very, very important. Yeah, Rishna, you've unmuted yourself. Please
Yeah, I
share.
was going to say, like, till today, I use a lot of those tools. And the way Namita mentioned that, we have the wheel of life, my coach gave me a wheel of business. So I have it stuck on my office. And whenever something is not happening, that's the drawing board I go back to, and I can pick up the problem immediately. And I know what's the direction I'm heading in now.
Lovely. Lovely. So that's it from us. Thank you so much. You have the links. Save them. If not now, please book a call. It's just going to help you. And we'd love to help you. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a wonderful evening ahead. And
Thank you,
you.
Namita.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
All right. Okay, Namita, I'm going to close the meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.